Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Gameball. I'm your host, Matson Montilla. Today, joining the show, we have one of the brightest up-and-coming Clemson football players, a mega athlete. In high school, he was a 3-time All-Capital City selection, a 2-time All-Metro selection, and made the All-State team, being utilized as a Swiss Army knife across the field. He resurrected Montgomery Catholic football and led them to back-to-back semifinal appearances. He was named one of Clemson's most improved defensive players of the year after a breakout season that saw him leave his mark on the team with 2 extraordinary interceptions and being named the top-graded freshman safety in the ACC according to PFF. He is a top-tier football player, an older brother, a son, a friend. Sophomore defensive back, Kylon Griffin. To dive into it, man, my first question, you're from Montgomery, Alabama, right? Just in general, like what's Montgomery like? What you do there growing up?
We really stayed on the same street for most of our lives. So I got close with a couple neighbors, and we really spent a lot of time outside before the street lights came on, like basketball, throwing a football, trampoline, stuff like that. So it was really fun. I wasn't really out too much. But when I did, I had a great time. Yeah. Kind of same thing up here. So it was really good growing up. And then I got a little brother who's 13 now, a little sister who's 18. And our bond has grown so much over time. Just growing up with each other, fighting with each other, all that stuff. So it's been good. And I'm very blessed to be from there and say that's where I'm from.
Yeah, definitely. So you mentioned it like early on, you were really just kind of hanging out with your friends, running around outside, playing football, basketball, you name it. Having just spending so much time and doing all those things, did that make you gravitate towards wanting to play, I guess, football in middle school and high school because you were just doing it all the time for fun?
Yeah, it did. When I was younger, sometime in elementary, I didn't have a football, so I would be outside in the backyard throwing cups around, and like I was throwing cups, kicking cups, you name it, and I was running. I was actually running through the cups. And one Christmas they gave me a football, and honestly I just was like, what is this? Yeah. And it took off from there. The first year I played football, I was like a lost duck out there. I was looking up in skies. I was just out there just because my dad told me to be out there. But then second year I was looking forward to it, and it really got going for me then. I think I was like 7 years old. So I caught on, and everything been uphill since.
Yeah. So when you first got into it, I think the answer is going to be yes. But were you just playing for fun just because like your friends were out there and your dad told you to?
Yeah, I was just out there for fun, man. They saw I was cooped up in the house, and this kid can do something apparently. So I was just out there for fun. I didn't know nothing about no high school football, college football. I didn't know NFL, none of that stuff. I was just out there.
Yeah. So like the moment you realized you could be, I guess, something special, something, bigger than just local football, that probably came like later in your time.
Yeah, it came later. It was still Little League football, but I started understanding like college football, what that can lead to, NFL football. And I was like, well, I mean, I can do that. Yeah. Later in life, I mean, I'm doing good right now. Why can't I do good then? So I started really taking it serious, and I think I've been doing good.
Yeah. So before we move on to Montgomery Catholic and Clemson, everything else that you accomplished, talking about rec football, organized football, there was a kid you started playing with, and I'm not sure if you met him through football or a family friend, but Jordan Thomas, right? Yeah. So you played football with him since when? Start of it all?
Yeah, I've been going against him for most of the time up until high school. So he was always the one guy that was bigger than me. Him and TJ Dudley, they were always the couple guys that were bigger than me. So, and everybody knew who Jordan was. How, I do not know, but on the field, you could recognize him immediately. He's huge. And he was the only one who had a blackout visor. We couldn't do that, but for some reason he was the only one that could do it.
Best players, you know.
One day, our parents worked together at a hotel. So one day I went to his birthday party. We were younger, and ever since then we've been kicking it.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. That's like my brother, man.
Yeah. Really. So when you guys went to Montgomery Catholic, did you guys push each other like more than anyone else? Because like you said, you're like brothers.
Yeah, we did. It was kind of understood for both of us as soon as we started talking about Catholic. We was like, yeah, this is really the spot to go, and it was just an automatic agreement, so it wasn't much to discuss. So we got there and we just made each other better.
Yeah. So was it like a group decision, or did you say I'm going and he followed?
Yeah, it was a individual thing. So he kind of followed. I think I got there first.
I see you're the leader. You know.
I'm lying. He got there first, and then I got there.
Okay.
And then TJ got there. So I was second, and we just connected from there.
So did you go there like the start of high school, like freshman year?
Mm-hmm.
And then so he's a year older than you, or
no. I'm saying he was interested in it first.
Oh, okay. I hear you. Yeah. I also saw you had a couple cousins go there, so I'm sure that played a factor in you choosing Montgomery Catholic.
Yeah, it did.
But like, why did you decide to go to the prep route, private school in a sense, instead of a public program?
Honestly, it was the grades. Not to throw any dirt on Montgomery public schools, but they weren't doing good at that time. Most of the schools were failing, and something just clicked. My mom she gave me the freedom, but she kept like kind of ringing in my head. They're not doing good. The public schools aren't doing that good. We should probably take the private route. So I toured a few schools, and Montgomery Catholic just stuck out. And something just dawned on me like why wouldn't you want to go here? They're doing good in school. I didn't know nothing about sports at that time.
Yeah.
I was just thinking academically, honestly. And then I got there, and then one of the first days of summer workouts, we had this I want to say 3-star D lineman. His name was CJ Person, and we running after we get done running all the conditioning stuff. He brings the team up and announced that he's going to Indiana, and I'm like, what? People going to college from here? Mm-hmm. So, but I at that time I still never thought that I could go to college.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, you're so young. It's
like, I'm just like...
You're in, what, 9th grade? You're, what, 14?
Yeah, I just want to play football. Yeah. Man. That's all I want to do.
It's not fun.
But I kind of looked up to him as a brother from that point on. And he obviously led me down the right path, him and a handful of guys.
Do you still stay in touch with them?
Every now and then. When people graduate, you got to gravitate.
Oh, yeah.
So...
I'm sure he's watching some Clemson games though. You know, keeping an eye out.
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah,
I'll reach out to him after this, see how he's doing.
Yeah, definitely, man. And it's funny you mentioned the football aspect, how it was a school first decision, and I'm gonna read a lot of numbers off to you, but the premise of it all is like Montgomery Catholic was not very good at football before he got there. You know,
yeah, that was pretty mid-team.
Yeah,
they were in the rebuilding stage.
Yeah,
it was fun going through that whole building it up stage with the coaches and the players. It was fun. We weren't thinking. Well, I wasn't thinking no state championship. I just really wanted to play. I didn't think about no college football. I'm just like, let's go play football.
Yeah.
And you put in all that work, all that time. Something like a state championship is gonna be destined for you if you're serious about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it is crazy. The transformation that you helped and the coaching staff helped lead is. Like, I don't believe you went to back-to-back semifinals, like I mentioned, junior, senior year.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they ever made it that far ever before, right?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Because I looked at Max Preps, farthest took me was 2004, and it was like quarterfinals. Might have been the farthest. Might have been. And yeah. they weren't a great program, to put it nicely, but it's really switched up. Like, it really has. And you lived through it. You mentioned it was cool being part of the rebuild, but was that always something in the back of your mind, your teammates, like we could really put this program on the map in a sense?
Yeah, I want to say my sophomore year, that's when it hit me like, hold on. Like, because the freshman year, I think we lost in the playoffs, but not much. I don't know the deficit, but it wasn't much, and it was just small little errors. And I was like, hold on, we can actually, we could be really good because they were a great team that we were going against. Mm-hmm. So sophomore year started kicking out. Like, hold on, like we can go to state and we can win it. We got the talent, we got the coaches, the drive. Why can't we do it? And then from there,
yeah, no, I mean
powerhouse
for sure. It's junior year, you went to the championship, senior semis, and in the past 2 seasons since you've been gone, I believe they won a championship. Mm-hmm. So it's crazy, like how much of an impact, if you just work hard enough, you can have on something.
Yeah.
When you first got there, though, you mentioned like they obviously weren't greatest program, and you're a super talented football player. Did you have to work your way up the depth chart at all, or was it pretty much like, hey, like he seems like he could be something special?
I think I had to work my way up the depth chart.
Yeah,
because I mean the guys there before me, they're vets. They know what's going on.
Sure.
Man, I'm just like I said, I'm just out there. Just tell me what to do, and I'll go do it. So I think I had to work my way up. I actually started as an outside linebacker.
No shot.
And then, like I was, again, a lost duck out there. So Coach Jay, the head coach, at the time he was the defensive coordinator. We're doing spring, just walking through, I guess. And like I said, I was an outside linebacker. They call him the Sam and the Will. Well, the guy playing the Sam linebacker position, his name was Drew. And he told me, he was like, all right, you pay attention to Sam and learn it. And I'm like, I thought this guy's name was Drew. And he looked at me like, are you serious right now? So then I was under his wing, really learning it all. And then I just sat back for a day and looked around, and I noticed that the cornerbacks we have are finna leave next year. Mm-hmm. And there's not really nobody else to fill that void. So I was like, I mean, I can play cornerback. So one day I just went out there. I think I got an interception on the first couple plays. It was horrible technique, but I showed ball skills, so that's all he needed to see.
An interception's an interception.
From there I was solidified as a DV. So.
And then you took off everywhere. Mm-hmm. You know, you played wide receiver a little bit, right?
Yeah. I was kind of the jump ball, go get it type guy.
Yeah.
So I have a couple highlights on that. It's crazy because in practice, never mind. Practice was bad though. Like
what receiver?
Yeah, I couldn't. Bro, they were clamping me up. I was dropping them. I could catch a hitch and get good solid 15, but go balls completely different. Yeah. And then in game, it's like an X factor kick in or something.
Yeah, you got some adrenaline pumping, right?
Yeah,
you're zoned in. That's crazy though.
They'll tell you. A couple of guys can vouch for me. I'll be honest. I won D-Hop in practice.
Well, and then you mastered the return game, right?
Yeah. I was just running around. If I saw a hole, just run through the hole. You were an
athlete, right?
Yeah.
You had what, 88-yard return one time against Bayside? Is that who it was?
Oh yeah. That was to open up halftime. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was good because we always started off real slow coming out of halftime, and I think that really got us going. What year was that? I think that was the championship year.
You know more than I would. You lived it, man.
I don't know. Time flies, but
it does.
We always started slow, so that was a real good fire starter.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, did you like being a Swiss Army knife out there, essentially?
Yeah, I did. If I can get the ball in my hands, why not?
Yeah.
And then defense, I'm tackling somebody, just run up to them and hold them and bring them to the ground.
So you like hitting more than interception per se?
Oh, no, wait. I wouldn't say that. Now, the interception is a great feeling.
Okay.
Great feeling. I used to say tackling was better than man coverage and all that stuff, but when you get an interception, it feels great.
Oh, I bet they're hard to come by.
They are, and there's so much preparation that comes between that pick and practices. So
yeah, because you have to obviously understand your quarterback, the receiver, read them, get in the right spot, right? I mean, there's a lot of elements to it,
and of course, catch it. And when you do, it like you accomplished something big. Like that's a play. That's a good play. So I don't take those for granted, and I hope to get a lot more this season.
Yeah, you had a couple big ones, like I mentioned, at Clemson this past year. So Speaking about interceptions though, and all the prep that goes into it, just out of curiosity, you always see fans saying like, "Why can a DB catch the ball with their hands?"
Mm-hmm.
You know, is it just because you don't practice it? Is it because it's a lot harder because you're not really planning on making a play? Like, I don't think it's happened to you necessarily, but I'm sure you would know a little bit about that.
I think it's just the adrenaline.
Yeah.
Like the receivers, they practice that stuff all the time, and we don't practice it for real, honestly. But then again, it's just catching a football, so it shouldn't be that hard.
It's like a nature, right? You're doing that your whole life, or throwing and passing, or catching, yeah.
But there is this thing that DBs just can't catch, and it's true. Yeah. It's true. So you really just gotta like actually lock in and zoom in on the ball.
Yeah.
Become the receiver.
So looking back at we'll say sophomore year recruitment, you picked up your first offer from, was it Troy?
Indiana.
Mm-hmm. Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
So I think one of the coaches had a great relationship up there with our coaches, and then like it was just kind of a flame starter, I guess. So it just took off from there. Indiana came, and then another school. So
was that during the summertime, or when did that come in?
Yeah, the summertime.
Summer. And they all just floated in at once.
Yes. Yeah, the spring. It was towards the end of the school year. Yeah. So, they all come in at once. I think it's like a period, like junior year. That's when a lot of kids start getting their offers and stuff. I think that's when colleges really started focusing that class. So they started flowing in heavy junior year.
Well, what was it like receiving each offer? Did you just become numb to it at one point, or was it like?
Nah, I really try hard not to come numb to it, because that is a blessing. I didn't know nothing about scholarship, how much money goes into college. So it's always a blessing. I took it as a blessing then, and I definitely take it as a blessing now. So I didn't become numb to it. I thought every time, like, this is another school that's going to pay for my school, my education, and I can play football for them. So I never took anything lightly. Not like that.
Was it nice going through the process with other players, your year or your team?
Yeah, it was. Some places we took visits together, and the visits are always fun, no matter where you go. So it was nice.
Were visits all based on the same premise, or did it change per school?
What you mean?
So like when you went on a visit, let's say they're usually a weekend, right? Mm-hmm. Do you do like the same things? Like you might, if it's during the fall, you might go to a game on a Saturday, and then you might go to like the coach's house for dinner, or was it all like different? Like, hey, we're Indiana, we're known for this, so we're gonna do this for you, and
I
think it changes.
I think it changes up.
Yeah.
Like if you take a visit during the fall, I'm sure they want to get you to a game.
Oh yeah, I
hope
so.
In the atmosphere and stuff, because all the college football game atmosphere would be crazy. So I'm sure they will want to, put you out there, expose you to that. And during the spring, they probably want to do the same thing with the spring game, and there's a lot more free time for the player. So if you're shadowing a player, they can really show you around then. So
yeah, because they know a little thing about the school, right? A little something. Is there anything that like stood out to you just in general from a visit that made you realize like this school is like cool, or the coaching staff did this so they showed they care, or was it all they all just tried really hard to impress you?
You talking about Clemson?
Or just in general, like was there? I mean, you can compare it to Clemson too.
I've never really been a big city type guy, so the schools that are in bigger cities like Atlanta, there's a lot of distractors that come with that. And a small town like Clemson, it's the complete opposite. Very quiet, great for people, but you could really be locked in if you wanted to, no matter where you are, but really in Clemson. So
was it similar to where you're from?
Nah. It's pretty. You talking about Montgomery and Clemson?
Yeah.
Nah, it's Montgomery bigger, and there's more stuff to get into, but it ain't Atlanta or nothing like that. I don't even think it's the biggest city in Alabama. So
yeah.
So nah, it's not. But it's not the same.
Okay. So looking a little bit more in depth because you obviously went through recruitment twice, and that was a chaotic scene for you. I can only imagine. during that first recruitment process, you ended up picking a school, Mississippi State. And I'll let you tell, your story. You obviously lived through it, but what all transpired after you got the offer, committed, and then 8 months later, obviously something happened.
So after the end of my senior season, they dropped me. I think they dropped me for a transfer. The transfer portal stuff was getting hot then. And honestly, I wasn't in any shock because in my eyes, I'm like, thankfully, I'm good enough to go somewhere. I didn't think it was Clemson level, but I was like, I can go somewhere. Now, my mom, this is a different story. She's panicking day in and day out. So, but that's her. So, but I stayed calm and I just prayed about it, honestly. And then Clemson and Nebraska, bigger schools came in, and I'm like, what? You just
That's
wait.
a big difference.
Wait. Yeah, it's like
difference.
something ain't right.
Yeah.
So it took off from there. I'm really glad I prayed about it and just stayed calm, because I could have really been a butthole and said some things to the Mississippi State coach that I would have regretted. So I'm glad I stayed calm and put it in God's hands. So
yeah, I mean, that's definitely a very hard situation to be in for anybody, right? Like, I know you said you handled it calm, which is props to you for that. But I don't know how many people would have reacted to that news, because it was so late in the process, right?
It was very late. I think signing day was like a week from then.
Yeah.
If that, the first signing day, and I was planning to sign on the first signing day. So we had to scuffle a little bit toward the end to make it to the second signing day, but it all played out.
So how did that second recruitment go? Because I'm assuming, right, like you might get an offer from a school, and then you commit, and then it's a week ahead of early national signing day. They probably don't have that offer on the table, right?
That happens to some people.
Yeah. So like, did you have to reach out to schools that already offered you aside from Clemson, Nebraska, or did they come in like right away?
No, I didn't reach out to anybody.
Yeah.
I felt like the coaching staff at Catholic, they handle that stuff pretty good. So I just trusted them to do all that stuff.
Oh, so did they do like the reaching out for you, or was it just they would just tell you the news?
I have no idea.
Oh, really? Yeah.
I have no. I think I don't know if the college coaches came to them when they saw me decommit, or they reached out to the college. I don't know, but
it worked out in the end, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you got a couple big offers, like you mentioned. How did you build that connection with Clemson? Because you've had at most 4 to 6 weeks to really get to know them, right? Was it like what made them so special in that such a short period of time?
Honestly, I was just going off like it's Clemson. Honestly, like powerhouse school, 2 national championships, Dabo Swinney, all that legacy. I was just going off that until I came up here, and was a part of the environment and saw the people, how everything is ran, everything is organized, all that stuff. So at the time, I was just going off, it's Clemson. So
it speaks for itself.
Right.
You see that paw, and it's like,
they like Dabo has done a great job of building all of this dynasty.
Yeah.
So I'm sure there's kids out there that's still saying to themselves what I'm saying to you. So.
Yeah, and the thing about Clemson that they speaking to other players that been through just recruitment with them, they don't hand out a bunch of offers, right? Like a lot of schools hand out hundreds and hundreds. Clemson, they pick who they want, right? So did that make it all more special for you, like when that kind of clicked in? Like,
no, I didn't think about that at the time. I didn't even notice it until I got up here, how many kids we actually offer. So at the time, I'm just amazed that I'm on the phone with Dabo Swinney. So.
Yeah. That must have been surreal.
It was.
Yeah. It was. What was that day hearing you got the offer?
I was coming back from a basketball game, me and my sister, and I'm riding in the car. I'm driving, and he's on speaker, and I dropped the phone in between the crevices of the and my sister ended up getting it out just in time when Dabo said, "Hey man, can you hear me? You got the offer." So I ran into the house, and my mom always loved Dabo Swinney. She thinks he's a great man. Well, he is a great man, but she was probably more excited than me, honestly. And my dad, kind of nonchalant, but he laughed and he was happy as well. So it was a great day. That was a great day, and I'll never forget it.
Something I read, because I remember reading the story about what happened, was you said that like your sister, obviously she's 18 now, like, a couple years younger. She's aware of what's going on, but you said that she didn't really understand like the magnitude of it, and that she was just happy that you were happy. So is that just like nice seeing? Is that like an example of just how your siblings are?
Yeah, it is. Like, we'll get happy for each other no matter what. I love them, and I'm sure they love me, but just seeing each other happy is really, that's going to brighten your day, no matter how bad of a day you're having.
Definitely. So National Sign Day came around, and you put pen to paper. Was that? I mean, I know Clemson, they hold themselves in a high standard, but was it like you can finally breathe now in terms of you went through a fiasco with a commitment prior, and you're officially a student athlete?
Yeah, I was glad the recruiting process was over with, but at the same time, I'm like, all right, well, you're going to Clemson, you need to stay at Clemson and show that you can play at Clemson, play at a level like Clemson, you know? So I really just continued going to work and put my head down and got up here.
Yeah, definitely. And you enrolled during the summer, right? You couldn't early enroll?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we didn't early enroll.
Do you think that was, I don't know how to explain it. Like, do you think that put you back a little bit of time that you could have regained if you had, I don't know, a whole semester prior to get ready for the season?
Yeah, I do think it does, because that being a part of the spring, you'll be so much more prepared going into fall camp. But then again, I still am a high school student, and I want to finish my last semester
100%.
being a high school student. So, I mean, I enjoyed, prom and all that stuff. But then again, on the football side of it, I could have got a step ahead just like that.
Yeah.
So,
and ease into it a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
Before we dive into Clemson, there's one more thing I want to talk about with Montgomery Catholic in high school. And it's that first semifinal matchup entering the championship for junior year. Montgomery Catholic going against Montgomery Academy, I believe, right?
Wait, say again?
Were you guys played Montgomery Academy in the semifinals?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah,
entering to play, I guess, Fife in the championship.
Mm-hmm.
So something I noticed, like, first off, are you guys a bit of a rival with each other?
Yeah, we do. They're literally right down the street from us. So
Okay.
Yeah, we do.
So I was going to say, like, the first time you played them in the regular season, they won, right? 32-21, I believe, was the final score. What was it like getting ready to play them again in such an intense game that meant, like, a lot?
It was something. Like, nobody doubted that we could beat them, because we know we could, and I'm sure they knew we were able to beat them as well. It's just it really just came down to who wanted it more. I don't know how bad they wanted it, of course, but I know we really, like, we knew how big this game was, especially going against a rival. So we attacked it, and that is definitely the best game that I remember from Montgomery Catholic.
So
I love that game.
Talk about it. Like, was a packed out crowd? I know the ending was pretty exciting.
Yeah, I think we were the only Montgomery teams that far in the playoffs. So it was pretty packed. Not Montgomery, Alabama.
Oh,
not Alabama. I'm lying.
Well, it's state, yeah.
Yeah, local. Okay. So it was definitely packed out, and on the sideline, it's so much chaos. We're all yelling at each other, trying to make sure everything is correct and perfect. But we're playing football, so it's not. So we're just out there correcting each other on the field, off the field, yelling at each other, depending on the offense depending on us. So it was going good, honestly. And then it went to overtime. And my boy Pat Ryan, he ended it with an interception and a slide, just like they do in college football. And we went crazy. That is definitely the best memory for Montgomery Catholic.
Yeah. Was there like a moment during that game for you where it just felt like you weren't really touching earth, right? It was like such a hard moment to grasp, or were you pretty zoned in the whole time?
I was pretty zoned in the whole time. Yeah, I was just zoned in. You couldn't tell me nothing if it wasn't about football. Like, for real, I really didn't care about nothing except that game.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Was there a moment that like you had, whether like playing defensively or offensively, that you were pretty excited about having that? Like you'll remember that, or was it just a team effort?
it was just a team effort. I don't think I had any like standout plays that game, because they were really, MA was really a run the ball type team, and I mean, aside from a couple of tackles, I didn't really do much. So
Tackle's a tackle.
Yeah.
You don't want to miss those.
yeah, you can't miss those.
Can't miss a tackle.
Those are really big to the game.
Yeah. Speaking of running backs, Jeremiah Cobb, what was it like playing with them?
Oh man, Cobb. So fun fact, me and Cobb played on the same middle school team.
Oh, no way.
And at the time I was playing running back, and he's a year younger than me, but he had, I think it was an Achilles injury, ankle injury, something. He had an ankle injury the time I was there, so I didn't really know what Cobb was able to do. Mm-hmm. He's fast. He is actually fast. He runs hard. He's a great running back.
That's your track partner right there.
Right. If we race, he's burning me. But okay. I'll never tell him that to his face. So we got to high school, and he was behind this senior who was a really good back. But Coach Jay, again, the head coach, he was just telling me, Cobb's nice, Cobb. And I'm like, I mean, I ain't gonna say you trash, but I don't see all the hype about. And then one game he got in, and I'm like, he tore it up. He ran. He's completely healthy, running over people, making moves, pulling away from people. I was like, oh, he is nice.
It's like a little Marshawn Lynch moment,
right?
Yeah.
I was like, okay, then. I hope he does it fantastic, and he is. Yeah. He is, man.
He's at Auburn now, I believe.
Yeah,
right?
he's doing good at Auburn.
Yeah. You guys, that was a talented team, though. Dudley's at Ole Miss. You said Patrick Ryan. I think he went to South Alabama. Mm-hmm. And then there's just a lot of talent. I remember reading about it. And, Jordan's at Tennessee. Mm-hmm. That's a squad. That's definitely a squad.
It was stacked.
Yeah. So coming to Clemson, right now, let's bring it back here. Freshman year as a whole, what was that experience like for you? Redshirting, learning, and also just adapting to college as a whole.
Yeah, like you said, I was adapting and learning. When you come in, every freshman wants to be that freshman All-American and stand out, but I wasn't that guy. I really had to sit back and learn what was going on. And at the time, I didn't notice that until after the season. Like, you just was not ready. So going into that off season, I really locked in and got better. But during freshman season, I was just glad to be under somebody's wing and learn.
Yeah.
So
I hear that. You were learning from some talented players, right? Mm-hmm. You still did. I'm assuming your second year, but Makuba, Mickens, Venables, I know he has some injuries, but he was a great safety. He still is. Mm-hmm. Like learning that knowledge from those type of players. How did you use that to become who you are today?
I looked at it as, you're going to be in that position one day. You're going to be the older guy that the incoming freshmen are going to ask, what am I doing here? What am I doing there? So I just looked up to them, and I know they know what they're talking about, because they were in my shoes at one point, and now they're the leaders here. So I appreciate everything they do.
Yeah. And just a couple more things. The generic questions about your first year at Clemson. Running down the hill, experience a game day, busting around the stadium, experiencing those all for the first time. What was the adrenaline like for you?
There wasn't no adrenaline really.
Really?
But not to me. Going down the hill was nice, but seeing them set up college game day and all that stuff, it wasn't really adrenaline. Now, I used to watch it all the time in the morning, but like I said, all the surreal moments came when I was in the recruiting process and Clemson was talking to me. So I kind of knew all that stuff could come with it. So
yeah, handle it professionally.
Yeah, I try to. At least.
Yeah,
I try to.
I don't know. That's impressive. 18 years old and composed.
I try to stay locked in.
Yeah. So your first snap though, like going on the field, I think it was against Louisiana Tech. Special teams. Just being on the field, was it still just like, hey, like I'm here for a reason, or was it a moment after the game where you were like, I was on the field for a college football game?
It was like, I'm here for a reason.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to be the guy that gives up a touchdown.
I don't want to get burnt.
So yeah, I need to handle business right here. The moment where I was like, hey, I'm a college football player was during workouts. We were doing conditioning, and I'm breathing hard. I'm feeling it. I'm out of shape. I'm like, well, you did say you want to be a college football player, so
yeah. So
that's where it hit me. So
what are those drills like? Practice, conditioning.
Those drills are very tough.
I can
extremely
imagine.
Tough.
Yeah.
But it's really a mindset type thing. You can, if you're telling yourself you can't do it, you're gonna tap out. If you're telling yourself you can do it, you'll be all right. So I'll be all right, and I'm never the type of guy to, just stop and like fake an injury or throw up or something like that. I'll be all right.
Yeah.
You might feel it a little bit, but you'll live.
Yeah, if you got to push yourself, and then it's gonna be worth it. And I mean, nutrition, everything. It must have been such a 360 compared to high school.
It is. Like, they got a lot of stuff set up for us to be the best version of us. So it's a real blessing.
Yeah,
it's a real blessing.
Definitely. So now talking about your sophomore year, your second year, or redshirt freshman, it was a big year, right? A lot of, you were getting more and more time on the field and becoming a more important piece of the team. Leading up to it, though, again, you had to put in the work. The off season, was that second off season a bit more, not relaxed, but like you knew what you had to do and you were able to push yourself a little bit harder?
Yeah, it was. So after the season, I felt like I got better towards the end of the season, throughout the season actually, but at the end of that freshman year, I felt like I got better, and I understood what's expected, and I really just took that into the spring, building momentum. So.
Yeah. Definitely, and it paid off, right? We'll fast forward, 8 weeks in, Clemson's 4-4, and I believe your first, you were getting snaps consistently, but the first, big moment was Notre Dame game, right?
Yes, sir. I mean, yeah, my bad.
Yeah, right? It was Notre Dame, and, what was that hearing? Did Coach Kahn tell you were going to have a bigger role? What was all a part of that?
Yeah, he pulled me aside, and he said, yo, you're up. You're finna go start. So I didn't take it as a real thing. I was just like, all right, well, go play football.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta practice like you're a starter, right? You gotta prepare like you're a starter because you never know. So I'm sure that benefited you. Going on that field, I felt like that game had a lot of meaning to it, right? And I'm sure you knew the magnitude of it. What was the preparation and hearing, everyone hears the outside noise, right?
Yeah, it was a lot going on in the locker room at that time. Coach Sweeney was hot. He was hot throughout the whole week. Everybody was put on notice, the players, the coaches. Even he held himself accountable. So we all had a fire lit under us. But like I said, we practice like you're gonna start day in and day out. So when the game came, it wasn't nothing surreal.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it felt like, at least to me, right, being a Clemson student, felt like the majority of people weren't really, ripping off Clemson's head, but the people that wanted to, they made their presence known, right? You could hear that. So I can only imagine, did you, not in a bad way, but were players and coaches more amped up than usual for a game because they just knew it meant so much more?
Oh yeah, we understood that this was a big game.
Yeah, better yourself, right? Right, show
to really, put Clemson back out there, say we're not going away. So we just continue. I actually didn't even know Notre Dame was ranked at the time.
Really?
I didn't say they were trash, but I didn't know they were. I think they were 15, 12, something like that. Yeah. They were up there. But I didn't know that at the time. I'm just like, hey, this is Notre Dame, so just go play football.
Yeah. So when you got on that field, you're playing. We'll go to the end of it, right? The fourth quarter. Game was still pretty close. You had a big impact on it. What was that fourth quarter intensity and the play like for you?
I just kept telling myself, stay calm, just fly around and be who you are. You're here for a reason, so don't get so involved into the moment, like big time game, big crowd. Don't get involved in all that. Just stay calm and do what you practice. So that's what I was telling myself, and I think I do a really good job of really just, keeping my composure. So.
Yeah, definitely. Does that just come from just years of just being within yourself?
Yeah, I think that's something you got to build over time. If you're not doing that in practice or really throughout your life, and time like that, you're gonna get all excited and ramped up, and that could lead to mistakes. So
yeah, you don't want the moment to be bigger than you, right?
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, you could tell it wasn't bigger than you. 2 minutes left in the game. You did have that big interception off of Sam Hartman.
Mm-hmm.
We'll talk about what happened after that, but in that moment when you got the interception, it was probably, I'll be honest, probably the biggest play of your career at Clemson, right? And that's what people actually made you like, oh, I know that guy, right? I know who he is. I know Griffin, right? Yeah. What was that play like for you?
Like I said, when you get an interception, if you feel like you accomplished something, a lot of preparation goes into that. I wanted to try to return it, but I saw Barrett in the corner of my eye telling me to get down, so I just fell. And plus, it was 6'5", 300-pound lineman.
I know you wanted to return that. Come on.
So I just dropped down, and we just enjoyed the moment. I understood how big it was after the fact. So I just took it all in after the fact. Yeah. After the pick.
Was it cool being able to celebrate in front of the student section with all your teammates and like just your fellow students?
It is, because like they know, the players know, but also students know how big a game is like that as well. So to be able to celebrate with them and just enjoy yourself, it really feels good.
Yeah, definitely. I had so me and my roommates, we had a couple people we were friends with from Notre Dame. They actually came down and visited us for the game, and they were talking all week.
I know they were on y'all head.
Oh, they were talking, and then we won, and you could hear a pin drop when we came back to here. They did not want to talk anymore.
Mm-hmm. That's how it always is.
Yeah. In that game though, there was a bit of a scare after the interception, right?
Yeah.
Philmoff fumbled it. Not something that he usually does.
Mm-hmm.
Philmoff he's a tank, right?
Right.
You had to go back out there, minute and a half, still a super talented Notre Dame team. Mm-hmm. What was you going through your mind? Like, was it just like, oh my, I have to do this again?
Yeah, but not in that tone. It was like, all right, well, let's do it again.
Yeah.
So I just felt like I could have had another one. I ain't gonna walk you through the play, but I feel like I could have had another one if I did, smaller details, right? But I wasn't, like I said, it was like, let's do it again. Like, stay calm and let's finish this game. So it wasn't nothing crazy.
Yeah. Did that game provide? You always gotta be confident, obviously, but did that game provide some more juice to you and realize like I'm not even touching the ceiling, like I'm not even close?
Yeah. It was like, okay, that's a great first step. Get your name out there, make a play. But you gotta really continue to get better. That should not be the best game you have. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it lit a fire under me. All right, we got to top this game, and now we got to top the next game. We got to top this performance. So
yeah,
if I have a bad performance, it really feels like a disappointment in my eyes. Criticizing myself. So yeah.
Hey, you brought the fire the rest of the season. Georgia Tech, you had an interception. You and every other freshman on the field at that point in time had an interception, which was dope to see. Right, Felt like, I don't want to say Clemson of old, but it was good. Seeing both sides of the ball really excel that game.
Yeah, that was good, man. We were all challenging each other that week, especially in the game. Khalil got it first, and then AV got it. So then
AV's was crazy.
Yeah, AV.
A little Tyler Brown action, right?
AV, y'all know AV. He can play now. He can play. Y'all gonna see if y'all haven't already. But at that time, I was like, all right, well, I gotta get one, and then I challenged Show to get one, and the impact handled itself.
Yeah, the big four, the future of Clemson, right there. That was pretty neat. Now looking to the season cap, that Kentucky game, just in general, like that was a crazy game. I remember watching it, and I was like, "What is going on?" Like, it was a touchdown and then another touchdown. It was absurd. What was that whole game like? Just witnessing and
honestly, I lost my cool on the sideline that game after a couple scores because we were giving up little things. We had small detailed and mistakes on defense that led to big plays for Kentucky. So I was like, all right, like why are we messing up? We need to do this. You need to do this. But then again, like we're human. We mess up.
Oh, yeah.
So I just lost my cool a little bit on the sideline. I don't think nobody saw it, but
I'm gonna rewatch that whole game now. I'm watching number 18 right there.
Don't watch. I hope they ain't zoom in.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I know. It was definitely a crazy game. Barry Brown, you got to give him props, right, for Kentucky. Was there a quarterback or a wide receiver that, like, throughout the year that you played against that, made you realize, like, he looks good on film or, like, he looks like he could be really challenging, like you could say the toughest player you had to go against as a team?
Nah, I don't have one specifically because I was manned up a lot, but
Seatbelt.
I want to say some of them got some wiggle to them, but I can definitely put on the seatbelt. But I wouldn't say there's nobody that was like, yo, he's the best right now. Not right now, at least.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I got you. Looking ahead to next season, there's a lot of big implications coming around as a team, and college football as a whole is changing. 12-team playoff, so many elements to it. But what are your personal goals for this season, and then the team goals? I know it's early on, but I'm sure you already have a few things ran up.
Personally, I want to top the 2 interceptions I had previous year. I want to get 3 or more. I'm really shooting for 4. Not trying to settle or anything, but I know I can get at least 4. And as a team goal, of course, a big game opening up with Georgia. They would just want to start off right there, knock off Georgia. And then next game. So I think we're just taking one game at a time right now.
That Georgia game, that's going to be a fun one. I'm sure as a fan, right? I'm excited. I got to go to Atlanta, but as a player on the team, that's got to be a game you almost dream of, right?
It is. I remember the first time they played them, not the first time, but 21, I think it was. They played them, opening it up in 21.
Charlotte, yeah.
I didn't know who to root for because I was like, yo, these are 2 great programs, great powerhouses. I didn't know who to cheer for. So I was just watching. I was just one of the ones that didn't pull to either side. But I was like daydreaming, like, yeah, this is a huge game. Like, hopefully one day I can be a part of it. And now
you're part of that exact game.
Right.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun. It'll definitely be fun. Hopefully, Clemson can pull that out, right? That game, when I was watching it though, that was a weird freaking game.
It was an intense game.
Yeah. Defense that was showing out.
Defense win games.
Yeah, championships, right?
Right.
So we got about 5 more minutes, and got a couple more questions to ask you. The first one being, obviously, there's some great players defensively that are leaving for the draft. Nate Wiggins, Jalen Phillips, Shaden Jones. I know those are DBs. I'm sure you have a connection with them. What was it like being around those players and just growing? I know they're 2 of them were corners, but still, like, they must have had a big impact on you.
Yeah, they do. They like I said, they know how I felt at the time because they went through it, and now they're the older ones giving their advice. So being able to relate to them somehow really, just allows y'all to come together. So I'm glad I could feel comfortable enough to go to them and ask them about, how what's the right way you play man technique or what to expect from the offense, stuff like that. And then off the field, hang out off the field. So it's really good.
Yeah.
Really good.
What's it like seeing, I have to ask, Nate Wiggins, right? And as just seeing him on the field, being with him, practice, games. he's projected to go pretty high in the draft for a reason. You know, what were there things that stuck out to you more than others?
Like, he can play, bro. He can play. You can easily forget that since you're around him day in and day out in the locker room and practicing, but he's a really good player. And there was times in practice where he just reminded everybody on the team, especially me, like, yo, like, I can play. And he's a great player. Great player.
Yeah, definitely. And, another question I want to ask is, you know, what do you want people to know about you, right? Like, obviously, people know you're a great football player, and I can tell you have a lot of confidence, and you're obviously very humble and well-rounded individual. But like, what do you want people to know, and how do you want to be known when you eventually leave Clemson and move on? What does your mark want to be?
I want people to know that I'm a real big family man. I love my family, and that I want to glorify God's name. I want to be seen as a person that lives his faith day in and day out. As hard as that is, because we're all humans, but really emphasize putting God's name out there and showing how much I love my family.
Definitely. Obviously a great place to be at for that. And you know, it's funny you mentioned the faith part. I was reading Kirk Johnson. He mentioned, like, he was excited for you to go to Clemson because he knew Clemson develops players, sure, but the man that Coach Sweeney is and how he puts faith first. And I feel like it's almost, if I'm a kid getting recruited and my high school coach gives approval, if I'm a parent or that kid, like, I know it's a real deal. So it's really cool how that all kind of meshed together.
Yeah, it is, man. And I have grown since I've been up here, still growing. So I think you know, every kid should come to Clemson, but you're definitely gonna grow when you come here.
Yeah, and you mentioned family is important. 2 younger siblings. I'm sure, you know, they're playing sports on their own, right? And your parents, you know, how important have they been to you throughout just life in general?
They've been huge, man. Like, my little brother, he looks up to me, and I know that, and I can't help but be a great role model to him, because I don't want him, you know, doing something wrong and it ends up in a bad injury or worse. So I just really want to show him the right way, the right thing to do stuff, and just really show love to my parents and show that they raised a great child.
Yeah, and that carries a lot of weight, right? The way you live your life reflects your family, just like anybody, right? The way I live my life reflects my family, and I'm sure you want to do right by them, right? So that pushes you to become the best version of yourself.
Right, yeah.
Well, Kylon, I appreciate it, man. You have anything left you want to say?
I thank y'all for watching. I really do. Thank you, man,
for
inviting me, and I'm glad to be a part of Clemson. Go Tigers.
Go Tigers. So Kylon Griffin, soon to be a household name everywhere. So thank you for joining us, man.